Don't apply for any job until you have seen this. In this tutorial, I'm applying to an actual role at the European Investment Bank to show you how to create a CV that gets results. I'm not looking to leave my job just yet. This is purely to prove that the system works, and it does. Nearly every time I've used this approach, I've been called for an interview. Before you hit the apply button, it's important to understand why the role exists in the first place. Most companies actually help you by including a purpose section in the job description. For this very application at the EIB, I carefully studied that section, and here's what I gathered. The bank is looking for someone to support the legal directorate through IT innovation. That means identifying new tools that could benefit the legal directorate, maintaining and developing internal systems, coordinating closely with stakeholders to ensure business alignment, supporting IT project delivery and change management, managing the intranet presence, and ensuring compliance with data governance framework. So, before even touching my CV, I now have a clear understanding of the mission behind the role, and I can start crafting my content with that in mind, not just my job history. This is the mind shift that separates intentional candidates from everyone else. Your CV should never be longer than 2 pages, and even at that, the first page must do all the heavy lifting. If a hiring manager is going to shortlist you, it usually happens within the first few seconds, so the structure of this page matters. I recommend using this exact 6-section layout or something very similar for every role you apply to. Start with your contact and headline section. Here, you want to make your headline directly relevant to the role. In this case, I've included keywords like digital solutions and legal, which are highly aligned with the role at the EIB. Recruiters often scan for these keywords, and when they see them front and center, it increases your chance of being shortlisted. Next is your education and certification section. This should be clear, concise, and relevant. Don't just list degrees. List the qualifications that matters for the role. In this case, the job calls for a background in IT or computer science, which I have, so I highlight it clearly. You want the hiring manager to instantly recognize that you meet the baseline qualification. The next section is your key strength section. But this isn't just a list of buzzwords. This section should reflect the strengths required to thrive in the specific role you are applying for. If you are not sure what those are, you can always use ChatGPT or look closely at the job posting to identify them. And remember, your key strengths should change slightly for every application. Tailor them to fit. The next is the professional summary. In this section, you need to see it as your personal elevator pitch. This is where you speak directly to the hiring manager and say, here's who I am. Here is what I bring to the table. It's not a biography, it's a strategic message. Use this space to connect your background, your experience, and your goals directly to the role. Make it clear that you are not just a fit, but you are the best fit. Finally, we get to the highlight section. This is the most important part of the first page and the part we will be diving into next. This section is where the real magic happens. It's where you strategically align your experience with the responsibilities in the job description, one after the other. Think of this as your proof that you can already do the job. It's not about listing tasks. It's about showcasing impact. In the following slides, I will show you exactly how I built this highlight section, line by line, using the real accountabilities from the EIB role and mapping them to my actual experiences. This is how you build a CV that works for you, even when you are not in the room. Here is where we begin to turn strategy into substance by translating the job accountabilities into your highlight headers. Now, I won't read out each accountability word for word. You've already seen them, but I'll show you how I strategically transform them into clear, recruiter-friendly CV highlights. After reading the accountability, I translated it into the first highlight header, which is experience in IT application development and deployment. This captures the core expectation. The role requires someone who has led the creation and rollout of internal IT tools, and that's something I've consistently done with legal and procurement at the ESM. Next, I transformed the second accountability into this highlight header that is experienced in managing and supporting legal and procurement applications. This shows I not only build tools, but also ensure they remain functional, supported, and aligned with the business needs, which is a critical part of this role. Here, the accountability focuses on the intranet, so I summarize it into experience in SharePoint and intranet management. This directly speaks to my experience managing SharePoint content, maintaining tools, and ensuring up-to-date templates and documentations are always available. The fourth accountability is about identifying useful IT applications. Hence, I framed it as experience in identifying IT use cases for legal and procurement. It's about showing that I don't just wait for requests. I proactively spot gaps and propose workable digital solutions. For the data governance and representation, I used experience in data governance, alignment, and representation as it highlights that my tools don't just work, they also respect compliance standards, data quality rules, and internal governance. Finally, for the workflow automation, I summarized it with experienced in automating legal and procurement workflows. This captures the essence of my mission, digitizing processes, reducing manual work, and improving operational efficiency. Now, if you ever get stuck figuring out how to summarize an accountability, here's a quick fix. Copy the accountability and ask ChatGPT. Help me rewrite this accountability as a CV highlight bullet that starts with experienced in. Keep the same meaning, keep it short and recruiter friendly. I guarantee that you get a solid draft within a matter of seconds. So far, we've aligned our CV with jobs accountabilities, and each highlight header now reflects exactly what the hiring team is looking for. But a good header isn't enough. This next step is where you back up your claims with substance. This is where you show not just that you have the experience, but how you've actually used it to drive results. In the next slides, I'll walk you through each highlight header and show you how I framed my real experience underneath, clearly, concisely, and always tailored to what matters the most to the recruiter. For the first highlight, which is experience in IT application development and deployment, under this header, I wanted to show that I wasn't just involved in isolated projects. I led full system development from idea to deployment. Every tool I mentioned here was built to solve a real business challenge, and the structured SDLC approach I used ensured that each solution was scalable, reliable, and fully embedded into daily operations. The next highlight, which is experience in managing and supporting legal and procurement applications. Here, I focused on the continuity side of digital tools, not just building them, but keeping them running. I made sure to highlight my role in supporting both self-developed tools and third-party platforms, which shows my range. It also emphasizes my ownership in ensuring the tools stay aligned with business goals over time. The third highlight, which is experience in SharePoint and intranet management. This section covers my contribution to our SharePoint intranet. I emphasized how I ensure the content stays organized, updated, and useful to internal users. It's not just about uploading files. It's about maintaining a clean, functional digital workspace that integrates seamlessly with our internal tools. Now for the fourth highlight, which is experienced in identifying IT use cases for legal and procurement. Rather than waiting for problems to appear, I proactively identify needs by staying close to the business. This section showcases how I turn those needs into clear IT use cases, often before anyone officially requests them. It shows both initiative and deep business insights. The fifth highlight, which is experience in data governance, alignment, and representation. Although I'm not formally titled as a data officer, I operate with the mindset. Here I made sure to highlight how I embed data validation and governance standards into the system I manage, making compliance and quality part of the process, not an afterthought. The final highlight, which is experience in automating legal and procurement workflow. For this last point, I zoomed in on automation because that's where the real transformation happens. I described how my tools reduce manual steps and improve traceability across core processes like approvals and tender responses. This shows how my work delivers measurable impact. And here it is, the final result of the highlight section. What you are looking at is more than just well-written bullets. This is a deliberate, structured showcase of fit. Each line is mapped directly to the job's requirement, using their own language and backed by specific examples from my experiences. This approach doesn't just tell the hiring manager that I'm qualified. It shows them that I'm already doing the job. The highlight section is where decisions are made. Get this right, and you move from just being another applicant to becoming the obvious choice. Now, let's talk about the work experience section and how to approach it with strategy, not tradition. Instead of listing out every task from every job you've ever had, the idea is to zoom in on what matters most to this specific application. In this case, I've chosen to highlight 2 roles where the work I did directly aligns with the responsibilities of the role I am applying for. It wasn't just what I did, but why it mattered, how it solved problems, what tools I used, and how it fits into the bigger picture. The goal is simple. Show the recruiter that you've already been doing the kind of work they are hiring for and doing it well at that. But just because the other roles aren't the main focus doesn't mean I hide them. Here, I present a complete view of my career journey from 2010 until now, while keeping the focus clear. I list every role with its timeline, company name, and position held. No unnecessary details. This tells the recruiter, I'm transparent about my experience, but I respect your time. It's a subtle but powerful way to say, I know how to communicate with purpose. Here's what the final work experience section looks like. Complete, clear, and intentional. I call this a smarter way to present your experience because it respects both the content and the reader. It tells the full story while shining the spotlight exactly where it should be. And this is how you turn your work history into a strategic advantage. This tutorial wasn't just about building a CV. It was about taking control of your narrative. If you found this valuable and you are ready to take your career further, whether through remote work, powerful CVs, or mentorship, I invite you to join me at Dazeman Consultancy. It's high time we stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. If you want to access my CV template, personalized mentorship, and real remote job leads, join the movement at Dazeman Consultancy. Visit www.dazemanconsult.com or tap the link in my bio to get started.